Okay, so this is the first one where I'm going to do some reviewing or at least promoting of some books, and these are what I would call these are must reads. And I don't know if I'll get through all of them today. I may only get through one or two of them because I think that they are just so important for us to read. The first one I would mention is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. Now, Lewis is known for his allegorical writings. When we think of Narnia, we think of Aslan, we think of all those books. The Chronicles of Narnia, of course, is the series, and all the books that are in there. He also did a trilogy that was very good, a little bit more for the adult audience. And The Great Divorce is another one that I would say is something that you should read. But Mere Christianity is one that is a must read. You must read Mere Christianity. If you haven't, you have to get that. It really is, it's a series, if I understand it correctly, it's a series of lectures or radio programs that Lewis did in the 40s, if I'm not mistaken. And he basically just lays out the arguments for Jesus, for the New Testament, for the gospel, for Christianity, and it's called Mere Christianity. Lewis was perhaps one of the best defenders of the faith during the mid 1900s. He died in 1963. I think it was the same day that both President Kennedy and A.W. Tozer died. All three of them died the same day. If that means anything, I don't know. But Lewis's writings are worth reading. My favorite novel by Lewis is Till We Have Faces, because it was really providential. I read it when it was first given to me in the 1970s, and I read it then, read it once or twice in between. Took me a little bit to get my mind around the story. It's a novel. And then when I needed it, I picked it up again and read it, and it was like an arrow through the heart. Now, that was just for me. I wouldn't say, if you like novels, it's a great book. But I would say that Mere Christianity is the must read. It is one of Lewis's best books written. As I mentioned, it was first a recording, but it is a must read. So you got to put that on your list that Ray said, I must read Mere Christianity if you haven't read it. You may have to read it twice. He deals with a moral argument there better than probably most writers that I've seen. He just has a great understanding of the morality that's in the world and how we make excuses for things. But that definitely is a must. Another one that, while I'm on Lewis, that I would say you have to read is a small book called The Abolition of Man. And it is, in my estimation, one of Lewis's best written books, discussing how we have really gutted mankind and gutted things like courage and given up on things. That's why it's the abolition of man. But it's also a very strong witness, again, for the moral argument. This seemed to be something that Lewis definitely used to show the existence of God and argue against people who didn't hold to that or believe that God exists or that Christianity is a valid belief system. So those two, I would say, those are must-reads in the C.S. Lewis category. Sometimes you may read someone and think, well, I just have to get away from this train of thought and skip to another one. The next one I would mention is The Knowledge of the Holy by A.W. Tozer. Tozer was a prolific writer, and this is perhaps one of his hallmark books on the person of God, the attributes of God. It's called The Knowledge of the Holy, and you can see the way it's published today. I have a hardbound copy of that book from gosh, it was when I was in Bible school back in the 1970s, early 70s in Brooklyn, New York. Um, is it the best book on theology? No, I would say no. I wouldn't put it in that category. I think there are better books on theology, but it's a good introduction to get your mind around things like the eternality of God, the infinity of God, the goodness of God. Those are very good things for us to understand. So these are must reads, and I'll have some more for you and try to guide you into things that will help. When I first got into apologetics, I read some books that were way over my head, and even standing on my toes, I couldn't get my head to reach up to them. But there are better books today to give us some understanding of how to use these things. And I'll cover different topics. People have asked me about what's good books for children. Really, the question is, what's a good book for parents to read so that they could teach their children about these things? And we'll talk about some of those books that are out there today. There are books that really support women in apologetics to help them do that. There are books on scientific apologetics. But for the must reads that I would start off with, I would say the first thing you should do is pick up a copy of C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity, if you haven't read that, and just let it fly. Now, if you have questions and comments, you can always reach me at info@raysiervo.com. If you leave comments down below on the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, then I will be able to see them and respond to them as well. So these are important things that you need to do. If you have questions, find somebody who can answer them. These are great books. And then I will give you a couple of more that I would say are must reads, that you must read this book. This is on that list. And I'll cover one in the next session. I'm trying to keep my videos under 10 minutes so that you can just listen to them on the fly or watch them and not take much of your day. So we're just at about just under 8 minutes right now. Have a great one.